So after 2 weeks, that's usually when Indianapolis gets everything after everybody else gets it, which is what it is. So here's Donatello. I'll probably pick him up once a week, maybe if I get all 4. I don't know. I wasn't really planning on getting all 4, but let's look at Donatello. So the thing is, here is not this is not a review. This is going to be a real quick makeover, real quick for Donatello here. I know that traditionally he was the the darker turtle, but I like all the turtles like the movie turtles. So we're going to lighten him up a little bit. Why I'm doing the He-Man turtle build. That's still ongoing. I'm just taking my time with it a little bit. And anyway, let's get him out of the package. Let's see what he goes. Before we go, I said this is actually good right here on the shelf like that. I may just get one to keep it in the box, keep it on the shelf, but I don't know. I got to get out of that whole mentality. So let's open it up. Like I said, this is not a review about articulation and all that other kind of stuff, because there's already people doing stuff like that on YouTube, which is fine. And I'm not really too much into a review. But the accessories real quick, I don't know how much I'm going to change them, but we are going to change probably some of these into a little darker fashion of maybe just plain out plastic silver altogether. I assume this goes back here. I don't know where this, I think this goes, just sits back here. Yeah, looks like that just sits back here, at least it looks like it on the box. So, I mean, it's cool, or I think it's really cool that they, I could be wrong about that, I'm not sure. But I do like this a lot better than the original version because they just look better. And I know people are complaining about the, then looking like styrofoam, and I don't know what the bumps are all about, or well, I don't know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, this looks like a better turtle. They did a great job. This is, I prefer the 90s, the Nickelodeon ones, the original ones from back a few years ago, but I do like that they come with some different things. This could be painted up. This could be metal gun, darkened out with metal gun and dry brushed. I do like his bow staff. I do like it. That comes with that, and got some throwing stars. And I like to say I do like it how they come separate. I don't like it when they all came on the traditional retro old school style, like just on the actual piece where you got to cut them out of the, make it look like an old car model. You know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying when you have any turtles, you know what I mean. But this stuff here, this is really cool. It's all, I like how the accessories came apart, you know, in its own way, not just stuck on a piece you got to cut apart. And I do like it came with a base. What I'm thinking here is just doing some dry brushing and doing some other stuff to this. I don't know exactly what yet, but we'll do it. It's going to be a quick overhaul real quick. But I don't know, real quick on the figure. I love the figure. I love these new, for 12 bucks you can't beat it, I'm guessing. But there you go. There you go. I wonder if this all comes apart. If not, it probably does right there. Anyway, so here he is before. Let's see here. I'm not going to put him in no stance or nothing. Let's get him a little closer to the camera so there's a before and after. The before and after, right here real quick. I really like these figures, man. I don't know. I was never a big Playmates fan when it comes to the turtles, but I like these. These are really nice and really easy to customize. I know this is a long video. I appreciate if you watch it to the end, but I did some experiments here trying to figure out my colors and what direction I was going to go in. But I appreciate you for watching and sticking around. Well, I know this is a long video, kind of because I went through the tutorial of me trying to figure out what paint scheme I wanted to use on the chest and kind of the shell. I was kind of doing some experimenting there with that. But right now I'm going to go through all the paints that I used. I used a green army paint from War Painters right here on the screen. I don't have the bottle with me, but there's the bottle that I used, exact bottle. That's for the primary color of the green. And then for the yellow, I don't have that either because I threw that away. I actually ran out of that and used it all up. That's on the screen right here. It's from Vallejo, from Model Air. It's a yellow. That's end up going with that color for the base coat for the shell. And then for the purple, I use, this is one of the best. This line right here is probably one of my favorites as well when it comes to a thick, real thick and exact color of what you're looking for with this right here, this stuff here. It's a purple, it's a real deep purple, and I mix it up with some folk art white to get the desired color of the purple right there as you see on Donatello. And then back to the shell again, I went from that to a, believe it or not, a apple barrel. You can use inexpensive paints. These are like 56 cents or 50 cents a bottle. I use that for the coat underneath the khaki, whatever you want to call this here, is the outside of the shell on his chest. This is the perimeter of the chest. And then as for the back shell, I did use some raw umber here for the back part of the shell on his back. And then that same yellow will go around the back of his shell. I'll give you a little bit of close up here in a minute, a little bit closer to the figure. My camera's kind of messed up. I need to get a new camera. It doesn't zoom in out properly. But these colors here with that yellow, I mixed up with the shell to combine what you see here. And then I always use this licorice black from Folk Art. It's my favorite dark black. I don't really use a black. I try to stay away from using just straight black from Createx, but I do use it if I have to. I use this for his mouth and outlined around his teeth and around his lips. I used it for what else did I use it for? I think that's it basically. I just used that for the his mouth, anything dark, but there's nothing else really dark. And the bricks, we'll get to that in a minute. The bricks on the back of the wall, you'll see I use this as you see in the tutorial. And then I use this for the bricks as well. I went with the pink, straight out pink, cotton candy pink, but didn't like it. So I switched over to this right here. Whoops, getting here right there. I switched over to this color red, granite, whatever you want to call it. You can read it. I can't read, but this is a nice looking red right there, as you can see on the brick right there. It's a nice dark red for a brick wall red if you want to go with something like that. I'm trying to make it quick so you guys ain't making you stay too long. But now with all the dry brushing, of course, I went with a black primer, and then I used a black primer from Vallejo, and then I went with the gunmetal with all the dry brushing. And then I bring out the model silver just right there, as you can see. The little rivets right there, I'll show you in a minute, right there. I'll use that silver for that. But the primary build for this whole thing, well, the primary color that I used for a primer base coat was this stuff right here, and it comes out really well. You really don't have to cut it up too much. I just add a few drops to whatever I'm using inside the cup on the airbrush. But I use this primer for this whole build right here. Then I washed after the brick was done, I washed it like 2 or 3 times with this dark tone brick from Army Painter. And then to finish the whole thing off, I switched from using a can clear coat matte or a satin to a bottle varnish. This stuff is a little expensive. I think it's like $3 something or whatever. Yeah, $3.99 for this little tube. It's probably best to buy it in a bigger tube. But I wasn't sure if I liked it or not, because I always used a can. I'm not using can anymore. I'm going to go with this. This varnish is great. These varnishes are really great. They're really easy to go through the airbrush. It's for, it's great. It's great stuff right here. I like this stuff. I'm going to keep using that. But anyway, that's it. Let me get a little bit closer here to Donatello, what we got going on. He's very clean in my opinion. I hope the light ain't too much. Let me back the light up a little bit. There we go. I wanted to go darker with more yellow with the front of the shell opposed to his chest piece as opposed to the back. But I did this kind of experimentation here with this shell I'm going to use on the He-Man build, He-Man Turtle build I'm doing right now. But I decided to not go as dark on the front shell, part of his chest shell or whatever you want to call it, because this was black, and I know the 90s turtles in the cartoon, these are always brown. So I thought I don't want to go too brown because I didn't want it to collide with being this dark of a brown like this raw umber back here. I lightly sprayed on the shell if I can stay in frame. But this brown with these light tone browns, I think it makes it pop with the black and the yellow and stuff like that on his name D for Donatello, of course. But I went with a light. I mixed up the light purple. It probably looks blue on camera right now, unfortunately, but it's not blue. It's definitely a nice purple. I may switch the hue real quick so you can see what it looks like. But I want to put some yellow into it, man. I want to do some yellow. He's really clean. I'm really happy how it turns out. I really like this line. Got the toes going down. That's the toes are with this right here. Khaki, whatever you want to call it, color. I use for the toes and fingernails over here. But he turned out pretty good, man. I just because it's clean. I wanted a cartoon clean looking look, but I wanted to experiment. But I know this is long. I'm going to cut it out here. And I appreciate you guys for watching. Real quick, like I said, right there I just switched up some bricks with some colors. You'll see in the tutorial how I did it. And then I did some light airbrush, not airbrushing, but dry brushing here with the gunmetal gray on top of the black primer. Didn't do nothing to the base here, nothing. I left the pizza there, I left the ooze there, left that line there, but everything else I kind of dry brushed. That was just black, kind of make it look like it was faded in a way. But yeah, there it is. That's the base. There it is. Donatello cranking it up. And I did decide to go with his other weapon of choice because I don't know, it looks cool, that ball and chain. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. It's been a long one, and I appreciate all your support, and whoever sticks around and continues to come to the channel, thank you, and I'll see you on to the next one. So before I start priming, this one here, I know this plastic isn't the same. It's kind of a shiny plastic. I was kind of worried about the primer not sticking to it as well as I wanted it to. So I took everything and I scratched it with a scratch pad. Just a Scotch scratch pad, and then after I did that, obviously I just wiped it all down with some alcohol. On the top left over here, and in the bottom right, is the progress of me just primering it, just for the sake of the video being so long. I kind of wasted my time airbrushing the green on there because I could just went in there easily with a brush and just painted it green. Didn't make any sense because after I was done this, I realized, man, I got to go back in and hit the spots I want different colors with a primer, just so the color will be true to what color I'm painting. Something like this anyway is a very easy custom for something you just want to brush on like I am here. It just gives you, it's user friendly when it comes to that. It's just, with all that texture, it's just so much easier just to go ahead instead of, so you don't have to mask everything off to spray it and then take it apart and then mask the other piece off and spray it. So here's that Liquitex line right here, this soft body stuff. This stuff is great, even the yellows. All the colors in that, it's a little expensive. My daughter gave me those. I was gonna use the yellow on my truck, but after I realized how much it was a bottle, I was like, well, I'm not gonna waste that on a tire. But anyway, back to the video. I took some of that Liquitex purple, that's a very deep purple, and I added some white to it. Just get the desired look of Donatello's colors in the cartoon in the 90s, and it turned out pretty good, man. I tell you, it's a very easy mix when it comes to that Liquitex with the soft body colors, and it's very thick, very nice. One or two applications is all you would need, but I guess so if it's like $11 a bottle, and at Michael's or something, you can get that stuff for, like my daughter said, get a coupon and then go in there and get it for like 20% off. But I know it's a little expensive, but it's a very, very user-friendly paint. Okay, back to the yellow as my base coat. An orange would work. Orange, whatever you want to go with. The yellow here on the screen is a little brighter than what it actually in a bottle. Has a small tint of orange to it. So I went in after I did my base coat in yellow because I wanted to integrate some yellow into the shell, at least around the edges. Like maybe like a garden turtle or something. Not so much a snapping turtle. That's just the route I wanted to go, just so it changes it up a little bit. I know the turtle and the shell and the turtles are primarily brown with some dark and shades and stuff, but I just wanted to change it up, have something a little different. Not that how people do it on YouTube is bad or anything like that. I just wanted to customize it for my own kind of liking just for this certain piece right here. And I think, you know, the yellow makes it look a little different and kind of stands out because you're not used to seeing it. At least not me. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm going in here. This is a new challenge here for me, trying to get these little lines and spray kind of straight. Actually, you can see my lines aren't that straight really. They're okay, but you know what? For an organic thing that's alive, it's not going to look perfect. So that's where I'm lucky. That's where I got kind of cheated my way through this thing here. But it was a little difficult to get it in those cracks and try to keep my line straight because I'm trying to use this as a shading process. So I had to turn the air down real low to like 18 to 15 psi. But for me cutting the black, I did use an opaque black on this right here, the shading part. I kind of, with me used to doing it the way I do it on the regular airbrush techniques, just a standard air, spraying something, I cut it down with distilled water. But it seems to me I got to get some ratios kind of fixed. As you can see here, it's not coming out when I try to go back over it with the brown. But anyway, the ratios, you got to mess with the ratios a little bit when you're starting to do very fine details with the brush, the airbrush. And I am using a different airbrush, not my everyday airbrush that I love to use from the Masters line. This is a little more expensive one, not by too much, but it has the smaller needle, the 2.0 needle, whatever it is, or the one, whatever it is, the smallest one, the 2.0, I believe. I usually use a 5, but this is the 2.0. Going in here, and this is not so much this brown is not a airbrush brown. I mean, you can airbrush anything you want, as long as you have the right ratios with whatever you're cutting the paint with. But I use distilled water when it comes to the cheaper acrylics. A little runny, you have to go slow, and just, as you can see, it's a little wet. So you just, when you're going with the smaller details and stuff, like I did with the black going in between the shell, it just takes a little of mad scientist stuff going on. Now here we begin with the yellow. Here's where I start to, here's where I'm start experimenting. I'm kind of experimenting on this figure so I can, when I go to the He-Man turtle build, I kind of know what direction I want to go in and see what worked and what didn't work for me for the result I'm trying to look for. So I took that yellow again from Vallejo that I just used for the back of the shell as a starter. I started it here. And I was like, okay, well, I changed his belt and his harness for the turtle's harness, or whatever you want to call it, that goes around his chest. That was black when it came in the box. So I decided to change this yellow, but here I went with an orange. I know I'm skipping around. I'm just talking as I go. So I tried, let me shade this with an orange opposed to a black. It didn't work out for me. I just didn't like it. As you can see here in a minute, I'm trying to go in. I'm getting better with my lines. I'm getting better with the shading. I was trying to do a crazy effect of shading with the deep orange out to the yellow, but I thought to myself when I was like getting ready to do this, I'll show you here in a second, I was like, man, this doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. I think I'm trying to envision what it would look like. I'm thinking, man, it's too bright. On some sculpts this may work, but what I'm looking for, it wasn't working for me. So I set it down in sort of aggravation and panic, because now I did all that work on the turtle thinking, now what do I do? I hope I don't have to take this thing apart and rub it down with alcohol. So I decided to go back in here with black again. Just go straight with the black and try to get my lines in there. As you can tell, I'm panicking here. I'm definitely, if you can't tell, I'm definitely panicking at this point. So the orange I put in kind of really didn't do anything. And what I was afraid of as well is that I don't want to do too many coats, because then you start having too many layers. Then you start losing
sculpt of what it looks supposed to look like, and you're just building layer on top of layer on top of layer, and it's just like a big clump of Play-Doh. So I went in, and now I'm starting to get a little more confident. So I come back in now with that yellow again after I put the black down, and I wanted like, okay, let me try to blend some of this black out. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm on the right track now. But then I thought, well, I don't want it to look just like his back. If you can see the back there, I'm happy with the back shell. And I said to myself, man, okay, now you can see I'm really panicking. See that? See how where I got too wet and I'm going too fast. Going too fast. There you go. The beginner's mistake, even though I'm still a beginner, a beginner's mistake is I going too fast and not doing my do a coat, light coat, do a coat, light coat. That's the best results, obviously. But here, I know you can't see it, but right there I'm taking a heat gun and trying to dry it off because I am in panic mode. I'm honestly in panic mode right now. I'm thinking I spent all this time to do, the purple and cut all this in and get it all going, do the head sculpt and all this other stuff. And I did the back shell, came out perfectly. And I said, okay, it's over. I'm going back to the traditional look over top this yellow. So I get the classic caramel. I go in, let me dry brush this. So I dry brush it, heat it up, dry brush it, heat it up. It's getting better. I'll probably say it wrong, but it's the Kikai. It's K-A-K-I. I don't know where they come with these color names. So I go in, and I want it even lighter. I know if I went really light with a very light caramel looking color, I know the brown on his chest harness would pop a lot better in my opinion. So I end up doing the Kikai at the very end result. I put about 3 or 4 right there. There it is. Well, no, that's the classic caramel. That goes around going around the outside. See, as you can see, the chest is a little lighter. After classic caramel, I went with the Kikai, whatever it's called. All that I explained in the beginning of the video, right there. That's the finished. I'm happy with that. It's just, I don't know. It was a nightmare. I was going back and forth. I was in a panic. So anyway, okay, we're almost done. Here we go with the weapons. With raw umber, which I used the back of the shell with, I scruffled up his bow staff and just painted it with some raw umber. Here I'm taking gunmetal gray over top of black Vallejo primer and just dry brushing. Dry brushing, if you don't know, which I'm sure you guys do, is you just get very little on the end of the brush and get a soft brush and just go over top of it and hit the edges. And here, with his strap, his harness, whatever I don't know the correct term for it is, I come in and I kind of matched up the yellow for the cartoon look and went in and I used the actual yellow I was using for the chest piece and I add some white. Just get that little caramel looking yellow right there. And then you'll see here in a minute where I attempted to paint this with a brush. I thought I could get away with it. I love this raw umber, by the way. I try to get away with it. Here I am getting my fingers all dirty and nasty. What I end up doing, because I didn't like I was going too fast. I was clumping it up. I ended up just spraying the brown on there the next day after wiping it down with some alcohol. Here again, real simple stuff. Just dry brushing on top of the accessories that it came with. Right there. And I took some dark tones and I went all through the bricks. What I should have done is got some household spackle or drywall, put it between the bricks and wiped it off and let it dry so it looked like mortar. So I went with some black and some pink to paint some of these bricks just so it looks more like a brick wall opposed to just some bright bricks. I wanted to darken it up some. So I washed it all up with that dark tone from war paint. Then I went in with some bright pink that didn't work. That was cotton candy pink, did not work. So then I went into with this a little deeper red over top of that. You'll see here in a minute. Then after here, just right there. That seemed to work out better for me because if you look at a brick wall, I looked some up on the internet. If you look at a brick wall that's been around for a while, it's got all different kind of color bricks in it. So I decided that's the effect I was going for here. I should have built the base for this diorama. I should have got some foam and built it up a little bit and put some brick on it, but I wanted this to be a quick one, kind of fast one, and do some experimenting here that out of what I'm used to doing and feel comfortable doing. So after I did that, I went back in with a wash and washed it all up, maybe 2 or 3 times, just to down tone, to get that stuff to go, not be so bright, the bricks being so bright. I want them to be washed down looking. Outside of that, man, that's all it wrote. There's the dark tone. I appreciate you guys watching. I know this is a long one, and if you stuck around, I appreciate it, and thank everybody for checking out the channel. I'll see you guys on most likely the He-Man Turtle build. We're going to start building that one. Thanks again.